Welcome to the Spotlight segment. This is a segment dedicated to interviews with developers or interesting happenings in the world of Android. And now for this week's episode, here's your Spotlight. We now turn on to our next segment, and this is the Spotlight. And we're spotlighting some things that happened this week. We're talking about One UI 7 that became available, the stable one for the Galaxy S24 series here in the States. And then we're also talking about the Google Pixel drop or Pixel updates for the month of April. Let's start on One UI 7. John, I know you're a One UI user. I love the One UI. There's so many things with the One UI, and I can see why Samsung kind of delayed that update, because there are like 77 changes in One UI, and say what you want to, but I can see why. There's so much in there. I was reading the list, and there are a lot of things in there that I wish we have on the Pixel phone.
Can I ask you something about that list?
Yeah.
How many of those 77 were accessibility fixes? I have a feeling it was 0.
Yeah, well, I didn't see any. To be honest, I didn't read all of it, but I didn't see any accessibility.
No. They mentioned accessibility. They mentioned accessibility. They mentioned accessibility in one of them.
Okay.
They
were talking about the zooming gesture.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They were talking about the zooming gesture. You are now able to do it with one finger instead of two. I think this is the... only. But for me as a screen reader who doesn't use Zoom, I don't care actually. But yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, there were no fixes for you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was looking for something regarding TalkBack, John, and I didn't see it, because if they did, you would have seen it on yours, and running the beta on my S23 Plus, I would have seen it as well. But,
And the disappointing thing also is that so it technically comes with TalkBack, 15.1, right?
Yeah.
And on the S25 series, although it's not the full Gemini descriptions like online descriptions, you can do them locally. And of course, we've found out in the past that on these mid-range phones, they didn't have any image descriptions on there because they couldn't do it locally. Well, now that this update is out publicly, when you look into the TalkBack settings and you go to describe image, there's still no describe image. It's still just icons and text. Even if you're running a phone with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, like apparently you need the Elite to run this Gemini Nano, right? Supposedly, like they're not even giving that to any of the flagship phones from the past, it seems.
That's not good. Because those with us 8.2 or 8. Those are powerful chips. There's absolutely no reason why that thing shouldn't work on those things. Let's be honest, the Snapdragon 8.2, I would even say it's more powerful than what you have on the Pixel 9.
Yeah, it is.
So if the Pixel 9 could do this, I think Samsung is just being deliberate in not wanting to, trickle down stuff. I don't know what the problem is, but that's not good at all.
Yeah, but wait, isn't Gemini Nano available on the S24?
It may be, but TalkBack doesn't use it. So I haven't.
I know, but I'm asking about Gemini Nano as.
Yeah, it's very possible. I was just saying they've chosen not to let TalkBack use Gemini Nano in those situations for whatever reason. I haven't confirmed it on a S24 series device, but I have a friend who's using a Flip 6, and that didn't get it. So I think it's safe to assume the S24 series also didn't get it.
Yeah, it's not very good. If you're gonna do it, just do it because those are powerful chips.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I really think Samsung was using this as like to try to sell new devices, and it's so silly because like how much money are they going to make off of blind people trying to buy their phones like with this to get this specific feature? Like they made a big deal about it when I was surprised they mentioned it at all when they released their S25 series of phones. They said, you now have Gemini image descriptions. Of course, it's lame version on device, but they're not putting it on any of their other devices. And I gave them the benefit of the doubt. I was like, maybe it's because it's a beta and it'll be in
Yeah.
the final release. But no, it's not in the final release either.
What I think here is not like they are not actually trying to talk about accessibility stuff for blind people to purchase the new devices. I think the thing is different. They're trying to promote accessibility features for the general public, like to tell like the media and to tell everyone that look, we have this accessibility feature, and you know that in general people aren't going to check and see, okay, what are other people getting, or what's the real scenario, what's happening. Like they will look only at what Samsung is stating, and they'll see that announcement of the Gemini stuff and things. So this is what Samsung, I think, is what Samsung is trying to do. And those are the people that Samsung is really caring to send its message to them. So I don't think at all that Samsung was trying actually to convince blind people to buy its new devices by having Gemini.
Yeah.
I think that it's completely like to mainstream, especially to general media,
right.
and to like, okay, look at this.
It's more for their PR image type thing. Like they're using accessibility to try to look at the good we're doing. Kind of like Google choosing to use like as their Super Bowl commercial, the showing that blind people can now take pictures with the camera, right? they're not necessarily trying to sell that to blind people. They're just trying to sell it to people who are like, oh look, Google's doing so much good with their devices. I think I'm gonna buy a Pixel phone now.
Yeah, well, the whole idea is that we want to make sure that the world knows we haven't forgotten that there are other people out there that are not like us. So we care about those other people, guys. And here's what we're doing, for those that are not like us. And I understand where they're coming from. It makes it look good on them, and also makes it look good that they're taking care of everybody. We're being inclusive. And it's a good thing to do. It's just that reality and romance are sometimes miles apart, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's not that much different from Apple claiming they have Apple Intelligence, and then when you buy the phone, it's not there.
Yeah, forget that. Yeah, so I understand where they're coming from. It's good PR. Well, let's look at some of the ones that come with the Pixel updates, and there are a bunch of them, and improving kernels for things like MediaTek and all of that Linux stuff. We'll post the URLs to all of this here so you guys can read about them. But I'll read some of the things, not going into them, but just some of the highlights and some of the fixes here. We got biometrics fixed for issues with fingerprint recognition and response under certain conditions. They always mention these certain conditions. Then camera fixed for improvements in camera stability when zooming in and out under certain conditions. A display and graphics fixed for issue with screen brightness flickering when using video streaming apps under certain conditions. Make note of that word, certain conditions. User interface fixed for issue with overlapping views on lock screen with a clock under certain conditions. Fixed for issue with Pixel Launcher when creating a new user or switching users under, of course, certain conditions. Next, we have fixes for different technologies and general system in the following area: framework, system, Google Play system updates. And next, we come across the kernel, and under the kernel segment, the following got the updates. So there's ARM components, Imagination Technologies. I don't know who the hell those guys are. John, you know who they are? Imagination Technologies.
Nope.
No, but they are apparently part of the Android guys. Then we got MediaTek components. So if you have a device that's using MediaTek, and it seems like this thing is intended to support Android 13 through 15. Then we have Qualcomm components, and then Qualcomm closed source components. Those are some of those. There are like 31 things, but they fall under these categories that I've read. We're going to post the URL here, and you can go through that. But I'm glad to see Samsung now with the One UI 7 and maybe my S23 Plus and Karin's A55. Maybe we're at the bottom of the barrel. Maybe next week or next month we may get the stable One UI 7.
Also, I want to mention that OnePlus released their first beta this past week for Android 16. It's technically based on Beta 2 that Google released. I guess they released that back in February, because I think Beta 1 came out in January. So it's a couple months old, but they have to do their tweaks or whatever to it before they release it. So yeah, you can now install that. They say it's just for developers. They're not really accepting feedback on it now, but hopefully the next iteration they'll start allowing feedback. I've installed it on my device. I don't recommend that you install on your device if it's your main device, but I did, and it's the process is pretty straightforward. I mean, you have to go to the website, you have to download an APK, which you'll use to install the update, and then you have to download the zip file for the update. And once that's on your device, you just open the APK after you've installed it, and it'll walk you through the process of installing and restarting your phone. It will wipe your phone, so make sure you have your stuff backed up if you want to try this. So I played around with it for a couple minutes, well, maybe about an hour, and there's not much new. I'll be honest; it's very similar to what it was before, but like they said, this is mainly for developers to test their apps and make sure they're still working how they're supposed to be. I did see an article that somebody mentioned the battery protection now is customizable. And this is something I like about the my S25 Ultra is when you turn on battery protection, some phones just lock it to a certain percentage, like 80% or 85%. Whereas this, you can set what percentage you want it to stop charging at. So whether you want it to stop at 80, 85, 90, or 95, you could choose any of those, and it will not charge it above that amount. So, on my S25 Ultra, I think I'm using 90. So I like that feature. I'm glad they've added it. That's the only thing I've seen mentioned as a new feature, but there could be others buried in there as well.
I do want to give this to OnePlus, though. They're always quick in jumping on the newer stuff. And frankly, if one is looking for a device that they want it because they want to be able to jump onto the newer iterations of the OS, OnePlus has to be that device. And look at, they're already starting on theirs. Of course, Samsung is just struggling with One UI 7, Android 15, and look at the OnePlus guys. So I really like what they're doing. Devin, I know you have your OnePlus, but you're not jumping on it till it becomes final, right? Are you jumping on the beta, Devin?
No, I'm not. Mainly because this is my main device, and I mean,
Exactly.
there aren't that many issues that make me want to jump on the beta so quickly.
Yeah, it's unlike me, who puts my main driving device, even on a developer preview. And, so far I've been lucky. I think the one that I had a problem with when I did was some years ago, and that was with Lollipop. I did the developer thing where I installed the things one by one using ADB. Some things didn't work. I had to revert back. It was quite a pain, but ever since, I haven't been having any problems necessarily. there are sometimes some calls may hang up or whatever. So these are some of the issues. But so far, lately, I think they've been kind of good with all those developer previews and the betas. I haven't been running into problems. So, but of course, I do have other phones, and the good thing using a Pixel, I could always revert back to the stable version at any given time should I run into problems that make the device not usable or not very pleasant to use. So caution if you're not having other devices or do not have some other spare devices or have an easy way of rolling back, one should stay away from betas until it becomes the real McCoy.
I don't want to get too political or anything, but I do want to mention, while we're on the subject of OnePlus, it's kind of a sad week, in my opinion, for them, because they've tried to release their watch, their new watch, which they recalled, and they were supposed to release for $329, and now they're releasing it for $499. And while they won't say why, it's very possible it's because of tariffs, and being the fact that their manufacturer, all of OnePlus's stuff is manufactured in China, and one of their main markets is America. This could be the beginning of the end for them. I mean, if they have to start charging more for their devices, I don't think people are going to buy them anymore. They might even just decide to drop out of the US altogether, because that's they've always been like the flagship killer. They can undercut people's prices. If they have to sell the OnePlus the OnePlus 14 for $1,300, people are probably just gonna go ahead and get the Samsung phone anyway at that point. So I don't know. I'm curious to see what happens when it comes to OnePlus going forward, and at least in the US. I'm sure they'll be fine elsewhere, but yeah, time will tell.
They're truly the price killers. I don't, lately though, they've kind of crept up there too, haven't they though? I don't remember, but I know like a few years ago, their prices are always lower, but of late, it seems like they're kind of like almost up to neck and neck with the other ones when it comes to prices. How much was yours, John? I know you got some discounts and all of that, but I mean, regularly, how much was the OnePlus 13?
It's $900. Yeah, it's $900. But the S24, or S25 Plus, which I guess is an equivalent, is $1,000. So they are undercutting them. If they have to raise their prices, they definitely won't be undercutting them anymore. So, yeah.
Yeah. We'll see what happens, but yeah, I like OnePlus. If I were not using a Pixel, probably OnePlus would be something I would be using, because they're kind of faster in giving, OS updates and all of that. I mean, in OS iteration updates, rather, that they do while others don't. I mean, Samsung has come a long way in doing it, but it's just that this year was just something odd that happened. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah. But that watch at $500, almost $500, I'm kind of thinking it could be, they want to recoup the money from writing the wrong label on the back, but I mean, they could just swap up the backs. I don't know, but we'll see what happens. No one is talking about what the problem is. Yeah, so
it's just nice having OnePlus as an option. Like, they make good devices, and we have so few options in the US. It would be a shame if OnePlus stopped being an option for us. Then it would basically be Samsung, Pixel, and Motorola, right? So
yeah,
and
Motorola is not like a lot.
They
of
don't really sell their flagship devices.
They don't sell that
anyway.
No,
unless you count the Razr.
Yeah. And, so the US is basically, the Fruitvale, Samsung, and of course, Pixel phones. Pixels are now not doing too bad here. You go to the phone stores and you see Pixel devices. So it's really interesting from what it used to be like a few years ago, where you didn't see it in like ATT and things and stores like that. Or it used to be they were just exclusively with Verizon, but now all of the three carriers have those Pixel phones. So kind of getting some exposure out there when it comes to the Pixel phones.